We are miles from the nearest village in the blistering desert heat, yet here we are, cooking enough food to feed an entire army. You might think we're wasting precious resources, but in the dunes, the surplus of spiced meat and rice isn't waste. It's the difference between life and death for a stranger we've never met. This is the ancient code of desert hospitality, and tonight you'll discover why preparing massive feasts for people who may never come is the most profound act of survival. Meet this nomadic couple. For generations, their families have lived in these endless dunes. Every evening as the sun begins its descent, they begin a ritual that seems to defy all logic. 10 kilograms of lamb, mountains of fragrant saffron rice, dates, fruits, fresh bread, enough to feed 20, 30 people. But look around, there's only 2 of them. Why? In the modern world, we calculate portions precisely. We measure, we plan for just enough. But here, in the extreme isolation of the desert, calculating for just us is considered dangerous. Watch as they rub ancient spices into the meat: cumin, turmeric, coriander, saffron worth more than gold. Their weathered hands move with the muscle memory of 1,000 meals prepared this way. The woman pours rice into an enormous copper cauldron. The man builds fires that will burn for hours. This isn't cooking. This is preparation for the unknown. This is an ancestral duty passed down through countless generations. You see, in the desert, traditional economics don't apply. Scarcity doesn't mean conserve. Paradoxically, it means prepare excess. Why? Because the desert doesn't follow schedules. Travelers don't announce their arrival. Sandstorms don't send warnings. A stranger could appear on that horizon at any moment, hours from death by dehydration, starvation, or exposure. And if you only cooked for 2, if you only prepared enough, that stranger dies, and with them dies a piece of your own humanity. This couple learned this wisdom from their elders, the same elders who learned it from their elders, a chain of radical generosity stretching back centuries. The woman once told a visitor, "We don't cook for the people we see, we cook for the people we hope to save." Look at this feast taking shape: whole roasted lamb, its skin glistening with rendered fat, rice the color of sunset, perfumed with saffron, dates arranged like jewels, flatbread stacked high, traditional mint tea waiting to be poured. This isn't abundance, this is insurance, this is community written in spices and smoke. Night falls, the feast is complete. Lanterns glow like small suns against the darkness, and then a silhouette appears on a distant dune. The couple sees it immediately. After years of watching horizons, they know that shape, that desperate stumbling gait. That's the walk of someone who thought they would die today. Without a word, the man adds wood to the fires. The flames surge higher, a beacon. The woman lights additional lanterns. "Come," they signal to the darkness. "Come, you are safe now." Minutes later, a traveler appears at the edge of their firelight, clothes tattered, face lined with dust and desperation, eyes hollow from dehydration. The couple rises. The man places his hand over his heart in the traditional greeting. The woman offers water with both hands, a gesture of profound respect. And now the massive feast makes perfect sense. Watch the traveler's hands shake as they receive the copper cup. Watch them drink deeply, water spilling down their beard. Watch relief wash over a face that had given up hope. The man presents an enormous platter: fragrant rice, tender lamb, more food than this stranger has seen in weeks. The woman pours tea, golden and steaming. This is why they cooked for 20, because feeding one person properly, saving one life completely, requires abundance, not calculation. As they share the meal together, something profound happens. 3 strangers become 3 humans. The isolation breaks. Stories are exchanged through gestures and smiles. The traveler asks through sign language, "How did you know I was coming?" The couple smiles. "We didn't, but we always prepare because someone always comes." This is the philosophy that Western economics can't quite capture. In extreme environments, hoarding kills, sharing saves. Not just a stranger, but yourself. Because today you feed them. Tomorrow, when you're the one stumbling through the dunes, desperate and dying, another nomadic couple will have prepared a feast for you, for the stranger they haven't met yet. This isn't charity. This is a survival network built on radical trust, a web of generosity spanning the entire desert. Every tent is a potential lifeline. Every meal is prepared with invisible guests in mind. The next morning, the traveler prepares to leave. The couple packs provisions, dates, dried meat, bread, water, enough to reach the next camp, where another feast will be waiting. They embrace traditional farewells, hand over heart. The traveler walks into the sunrise, carrying not just food, but proof that humanity persists in the harshest places. And the couple, they turn back to their camp. Without hesitation, they begin again. Fresh ingredients, new fires, another massive feast taking shape. Because the desert never stops testing, and the solution is always the same. Prepare more than you need. Cook for the people you haven't met. Transform scarcity into sanctuary. Watch their hands measure rice, always generous, always abundant. This is the opposite of survival of the fittest. This is survival through collective care. In cities, we have insurance policies and emergency services. In the desert, they have this: the unbreakable code. Your tent is always open. Your fire is always burning. Your feast is always ready. Imagine being that traveler. Imagine stumbling over that final dune, certain you're going to die alone. And then you see lights, you smell cooking, you hear welcoming voices. That moment, that impossible salvation, that's what this couple creates every single night. Not because they're saints, not because they're naive, but because they understand something we've forgotten in our world of precise portions and calculated generosity. In extreme solitude, feeding a stranger ensures collective life. As we leave this camp, another night is falling. Another feast is being prepared. Somewhere in these dunes, another stranger is struggling toward an unseen salvation. The couple fits together, watching the horizon, waiting, hoping, ready. Their feast glows in the darkness like a promise, like a prayer made from rice and meat and fire. What can we learn from this ancient wisdom? In our world of abundance, we've learned to hoard, to calculate, to prepare just enough. But what if generosity isn't naive? What if excess in the service of others is actually the smartest survival strategy? These desert nomads have survived for millennia in one of Earth's harshest environments, not through competition, not through accumulation, but through the simple, radical practice. Always prepare more than you need because someone, somewhere will need it desperately. Tonight, somewhere in the desert, a feast is waiting for someone, for anyone, for the next person who needs proof that humanity at its core is generous. The fires are lit, the lanterns glow, the rice is perfect, the lamb is tender, and two people sit watching the darkness, ready to save a life. This is desert hospitality. This is survival through generosity. This is what it means to prepare massive feasts for strangers who may never come, but they always do.